How's it going, everyone? Welcome back to the channel. Today I have a very fun video for you. It is going to be our very first cooking video and tutorial on a recipe. I have an extensive background in cooking and working in kitchens. I started working at 12 years old at Dairy Queen and quickly started at the register, made my way into the kitchen. Same at Denny's, McDonald's, the Keg Steakhouse, and a couple of restaurants that are now closed as well. So I have a good amount of culinary experience without actually going to culinary school. So today I'm going to whip up my version of smash burgers for you. From beginning to end, I'm going to show you how to process the ground beef and turn it into some smash burgers. Alright, so step one is going to be mixing our meat with our spices. So for spices, I'm not going to measure anything. I go by eye. You sort of go by taste. Actually, maybe I will measure it just for the sake of you guys following along. So my measurements for my smash burger recipe are, of course, my measurements for my personal recipe. I've sort of created this per my personal flavor. So we are going to take 1/8 teaspoon of garlic salt, and we're going to do 2 of those. Garlic powder. Half tablespoon of garlic powder. Or teaspoon, half teaspoon. Red pepper flakes. This one we are going to do 1/8 teaspoon. And I like to add some of the Keg steak spice for flavor. If you don't have this handy, you can use another generic steak spice as well. And this one we are going to do a half tablespoon. For extra flavor, I like to add a little bit of just extra ground pepper and salt. And those, of course, are sort of by eye and flavor palette again. So now we are going to get our area slightly cleaned up here. Now that we have all of our spices and our meat mixed together, the next part is going to be getting our hands dirty. Of course, make sure your hands are washed. I just went and put the spices in, but prior to that, I washed my hands for you guys. So now we are going to mix everything together here. Alright, now that we have our meat mixed, we're going to go make one massive meatball and just set that, let it rest for a couple seconds. Now we need to go wash our hands very, very, very thoroughly. And we're going to grab some parchment paper and move on to the next steps. Alright, so now that we've got the meat all mixed up, the next step is going to be grabbing some parchment paper. 1 square, 2 squares. All right, and the next step, you're gonna need some pans. 1 pan of a good size actually, not pans. The second pan we're going to use when we start cooking. So now we need to make equal sized patties, and then we need to put them in the freezer. So from these two pieces, before I do that, I'm actually going to tear up some more of the parchment paper because I need to lay these all out, and I'm going to have messy hands here. So let's prepare for that. Set these off to the side here because we are going to need those pretty quick. What we're going to do, we're going to make another one out of this guy, and we'll set that off to the side. So now we're going to start making our patties. So we're going to take our meatball, decide your portions. For me, it is one handful, one meatball. Smash patties are typically pretty large, so again, go by your preference. And make sure you have a clean surface. Make sure this pan you're using is not going to touch anything, and your hands are not going to touch anything. Because I just touched the meat, now I've touched this parchment paper, now I'm going to touch this pan. So be very careful about cross-contaminating your surfaces. So this is the funnest part. We're going to take this pan, we're going to give that a smack, we're going to make a smash patty. So it's called a smash patty. You literally want to smash it. So that is one patty there. Now what I'm going to do, I'm going to transfer this onto the top piece. And we got a patty. Now we're going to move our pan over, trade our positioning here back to how we had it. We're going to take this patty we just made. We're going to take this second piece of parchment paper, and we're going to lay it on top there. Now we have a smash burger patty. This is going to be our first one for our little stack that goes in the freezer. You have to freeze these patties before you cook them, otherwise they'll just fall apart while you're cooking them. The freezer makes the meat and all the fats come back together after mixing it and it's been ground up, so you got to freeze them. All right, that's our second smash patty. Now we're gonna grab our first one, and we are just gonna add this to the pile. Now we have two smash patties. Let's go ahead and make a third here. So I probably only have enough to make two smaller ones, or throw away a little bit of meat and make the third one the same size. So we're gonna go with two smaller ones. That's number 3. Don't worry about it sticking. What you could do to prevent the sticking is replace this piece of parchment paper now. Since you've done it quite a few times, it's starting to stick to the parchment paper. Do that at your own risk. Don't get mad at me if it falls. It's not a Dairy Queen blizzard. So this is our last little smash burger patty here. So we're going to take this guy, make sure that it's really well held together. Throw this last piece of parchment on top and smack. Like I was saying, fresh parchment paper, that prevents that stick. And now we have 4 super nice smash burger patties, and we're gonna go pre-cook them, get them ready for when my beautiful girlfriend comes home off work, and then we can assemble the meal. The fries will be ready, the burgers will be in the oven staying warm, and put everything together for a nice supper. Alright, and while we wait for our burgers to freeze and our pan to heat up, we are going to go ahead and prepare our buns and get these ready. Alright, so our next steps now that we got the burgers out of the freezer. I had them in there for only about 10-15 minutes. We're gonna go ahead and pre-cook these and get them ready for dinner. And when we gotta assemble the burgers, we got about 15 minutes. So I'm gonna put the fries in. I'm gonna pre-cook the burgers, so when the time comes, they're ready to go, and I can just put them in the bun and they're still nice and toasty. Alright, so you have to cook these burgers one at a time since they're so big. And then once they're done cooking, put them on a baking sheet so you can put them in the oven. Make sure your oven is preheated, so when you put them in the oven, they're not cooling down. So we are gonna start with this guy. Grab the bottom one, take that layer off, throw that in the garbage. Now take this one, flip it on the pan, give it a really good press, preferably with a spatula. Don't burn yourself like I just did. Pull that off very gently, throw it away, and let your patty cook. Alright guys, and that wraps it up. I feel like every time I make burgers, when I'm shopping, I forget to buy lettuce and tomato. So unfortunately we don't have those for this video. Alright guys, I'm not too sure how much of that last clip we got. Unfortunately I ran out of storage on my phone.